Why am I in there twice?
Genesis, it's still the screen now, or am I on? All right. I'll assume that I'm on. Genesis, tell me if I'm wrong. So, hello, everyone. I'm sorry, Genesis, what?
You're on.
Okay. Hi, my name is Doug Weiss. I'm the connector with Retail AI Council. Just to remind everybody, the council's mission is to help retailers embrace the transformative potential of AI. Thank you for joining us today on our first session of Get the Prompt with Ashley Gross. Ashley is CEO and founder of the Prompt Community, which features curated learning paths, community-driven tutorials, and insightful video podcasts. We're very happy and proud to be working with Ashley on this monthly webinar series. Please join me in welcoming Ashley Gross.
Hi, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. I won't bore you with too much information about me. I'll give you the quick elevator pitch because I think really the only thing that's important to know is I come from a non-technical background. I'm a tenured marketer. In 2020, I started using generative AI just because I was about to become a mom and I knew I was going to be limited on time. Didn't know much about what was coming, but I knew I wasn't going to have a lot of time. So I started using Jasper AI to turn my 40-hour work week into a 15-hour work week. I came up with, I think, close to 53 individual AI use cases. And then 2022 rolled around and I worked for an enterprise at the time. And I was very much known as the AI girl because I was obsessed with making workflows more efficient and enjoyable and bringing back just overall joy from an employee level to not just myself, but everyone. I wanted them to spend less time doing the things that they didn't like, more time doing the things that they did like. And so the CMO approached me and said, do you want to roll out LLMs? And I said, absolutely, sign me up. And so I rolled out 8 LLMs to a marketing org of over 100 marketers. We developed 25 AI use cases. And after seeing that, I was like, this is bananas. I want to go help entrepreneurs and small business owners do this because they are way more strapped for time than any of the rest of us. So I created the Prompt Community and a How to Build a Business Using AI in 10 Days course. And this is all I do now is educate people on how to use AI just for the sake of finding more time and finding more value and enjoying your jobs more and not doing as many things that are monotonous and manual that we don't want to do every single day. So I'm thrilled to be here. I hope you guys enjoy this monthly series. And I'll just toss the baton right back to Doug. Uh-oh, Doug's on mute.
Thank you very much. You're a perfect fit for Retail AI Council and what we're trying to do. So jumping right in, why did you first become interested in AI and what made you want to pursue a career in the field?
Yeah. So just really the sake of time, I wanted to manage it. I feel like we all think we're really good at managing time, but we're not. And so I kind of wanted to humble myself and figure out where I really am spending my time. Is where I'm spending my time bringing me enjoyment every single week? I don't know if anyone else was raised like this, but I was always raised like, if you enjoy what you're doing, then you'll never work a day in your life. And what I really wish somebody would have said is, listen, you're going to find and have parts of your job that you don't love. You need to figure out how much of your work week you want to spend doing things that you love versus things that you don't, and then identifying the things that you don't and figuring out how to make them go by a lot faster. And so that's really what I'm doing with AI and what drew me to it. I think it's amazing. I think it's hard to believe that we're looking at the worst iterations of generative AI we're ever going to see in our lifetime because we're just seeing mountains move right now. And so it's wild even trying to be in this ecosystem with the updates and features that keep rolling out, but it's going to only continue to get better and better. And that's what draws me into it. It's evolving continuously and quickly.
That's great. Our members really want to try and figure out how they can make the most use of AI for themselves and for their business. And I know you teach AI every day. Just to start off with, hopefully what's one of the more important things to come out of this is, what piece of advice could you give our members who are just starting off?
I would say, listen, it's really noisy out here. You can unsubscribe to the noise just like you unsubscribe to the newsletters that no longer serve you in your inbox. You don't need to just be tapped into everything just because the rest of the world is. I always say, quiet the noise by really focusing on like, what is the problem that you yourself are trying to use with AI? Let's focus on that. The rest is going to continue to be chaotic and loud. It will still be there if you decide that you want to come back out and subscribe to it later on. Start with a fun use case, right? Because it is technology and it can be really time consuming to learn. So start with something that's fun and gives you an immediate ROI. One of my favorite use cases to start people off with is asking them to prompt ChatGPT what they can make as far as recipes go with the ingredients they already have in their fridge, because it gives them an answer immediately. And they're like, wow, now I don't have to go grocery shopping. And I thought I had to. And then work your way up from there, right? But start with like the use cases that deliver quick ROI and then build on top of that. And also go work on your communication, because it's very humbling, but we're not all great communicators. It's a spectrum. You're not going to be great forever. It's something that you continuously have to work on. So go have a conversation with a friend or a significant other. And then after the conversation, say, hey, like when I communicated with you, did you like that? Is there something I can work on? Because 9 times out of 10, when you're trying to really start these, techniques like prompt chaining, for example, you think that you're so good at it because it's really just it's you in a computer. And so you're like, it's not me, it's you. But most of the time it's actually you. And so getting that insight before you start using LLMs can be really, humbling and educational.
Oh, that's great. So I do want to pay attention to the fact that we are the Retail AI Council. So how can generative AI specifically transform retail operations and customer experiences?
So 2 use cases come to mind immediately. So the first one's chatbots. So, the world's operating on different time zones and you can't always be available to, get those initial questions and concerns. Maybe it's the middle of the night and somebody has a question and it's not a 911 emergency, but it's also not worth waking up for at 2 a.m. to answer. So I would say implementing chatbots for that reason would be one great use case. And not even just for customer service, right? Because there's very much a time and place for an LLM versus a human. And so don't automate that whole process, because it's not necessary and I don't think you should. But just the initial routing, so you can figure out where to get somebody from point A to point B faster, instead of having them, listen to elevator music, or God forbid, go to your website and not know what to do with all of these amazing tabs because they don't know where to start. That is where I would implement a chatbot. So that's my first use case. But then the second one I would say is personalization. Like, we love to throw that word around. And what it actually means is, we see this every single day. Our social media channels, we have witnessed going towards, or going from rather, long content videos to short and punchy and concise videos. And we use Netflix and Spotify. And so we don't even really need to like discover what we like. It shows it to us. But with that comes this pressure that, if you're not delivering that experience to your customers, they're going to go to your competitors who are. And you don't want to do that. And so using AI to actually commit to personalization and make that experience enjoyable for your customers looks like, maybe before you throw them into an email nurturing sequence, you're enriching their data with some AI tools that are already plugged into their social media channels. And so when you start sending them emails, it's no longer cold outreach emails like, hey, Doug, I saw you watched show XYZ one time. Fun fact. And then like I insert my product, right? Now it's enriching the data and it's finding hobbies and activities that you like. And not just that, but it's going one extra step further and saying like, okay, here's where your product is and what your company does. And here's how you can talk to this person, and here's what they like, and here's how to actually get the value and like shake hands and have something happen other than just entertaining them and letting them know you stalk their LinkedIn. Cause like nobody enjoys that. So personalization.
That's great. Thanks. AI has gotten a lot of positive attention in the news. It's also gotten some less positive. And the big risk, or certainly one of them that people talk about, are hallucinations. Help us learn more about that.
Yes, this is my first use case too, so I'm really excited that this is the question you're asking. So hallucinations just mean that the LLM is giving you an answer that you either didn't ask for, or it's not answering the question that you originally had. So hallucinations occur for a few different reasons. One, to a certain extent, they're always going to occur because, again, we're looking at the worst iterations of generative AI we're ever going to see in our lifetime. ChatGPT really came out in 2023, and even though they were incorporated in November of 2022, they were readily available to the public in the form of version 3 in, I think, March of 2023. Jasper had them beat because they were out around 2019. But if you think about it, like it's being trained on billions and billions of users' data, and their algorithms are trained on the inputs that they're getting from those people. So if people haven't been using them for that long, they're only going to get a certain quality of outputs. So I always like to tell people, there's like two sides, right? Good hallucinations and then bad hallucinations. Good hallucinations are just little mind fogs that it has. We can fix that. I'm going to show you 5 rules to implement right now into your memory that will fix that. But then there's like bad hallucinations where, you're giving it information that you really want to get right, and you're trying to use AI to solve for that problem. And it's not going to, because it's probably not meant to solve for that problem. And that's why I always like to say, lead with the problem, and you probably won't get the hallucinations that are just mind-boggling and leaving you questioning your entire existence. So that's a quick rundown on hallucinations, but I would love to show the 5 rules to mitigate hallucinations, because I think that will probably prevent a lot more from happening.
Please, yes.
Please, yes. Amazing. Okay, so I do need somebody to sign off on whether or not I am showing ChatGPT, because Zoom sometimes cooperates and sometimes doesn't. Are you looking at ChatGPT?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So for those of you that might be like, what is memory? What are the rules? I don't know what you're talking about. This is what ChatGPT 4.0 looks like. All I'm doing is I'm going to click on my little profile icon and go to settings, and then personalization and manage memory. So this is cleared, but sometimes you'll have things in here that aren't necessarily, like, think of the memory on ChatGPT as like its brain. And even though it's capable of learning new things off of what you tell it in the chat, like this is what is permanently stored in its brain. Now, the good thing is, once you know how to control this and check in on it, it's great. The bad thing is, sometimes with this version of ChatGPT, it'll just randomly add things. And I'm sure we've all experienced this. You'll be typing away and it'll be like stored in memory. And you're like, I just told you my favorite color is purple. Like, your brain does not need to remember that. I promise you. So that's why I wanted to show you where it is, so you could actually go evaluate yours right now and see what it looks like. Mine's completely clear. So how you add things to it is you just open up the chat, and here are the 5 rules that we are going to throw in. And I'll explain each of them, and we'll make sure that we paste them in the chat feature of Zoom, but we'll also send information out after this. So if you're on your lunch break and you're in your car eating a sandwich, just trying to listen in, don't worry, you'll get all this information delivered to you. So here's the 5 rules to mitigate hallucinations. The first one says, ensure the entire prompt is filled out before generating an output. That's self-explanatory, because if I don't fill it out, it's going to give me a half thought because I gave it a half thought. The second one says, validate the source and accuracy of output data to prevent baseless conclusions. This is saying that if I ask it for something and it starts citing resources, I want to know where it's finding its information, so that when I'm performing an audit on it, I can just click on it and read that information myself. The third rule is verify that the AI understands the context. Great example of this. If you go chat with ChatGPT right now and say, tell me about Washington, and you don't say anything else, it might give you Washington, the state. It might give you Washington, D.C. It might give you George Washington, right? But you don't know. So that's the whole point of the third rule: verify that the LLM understands the context. Rule 4 says only store information into memory that I explicitly ask you to store. So we're preventing it from just randomly storing things to memory. And then the 5th rule is ensure that the AI asks questions to understand the requests. How the AI operates and remembers your conversations is kind of up in the air. It's not really black and white like we want it to be. So this 5th rule is really saying, if I'm chatting with you for 30 minutes and I walk away and come back, you need to ask me questions to make me understand that you understand the request that we're in right now. So those are the 5 rules. And all I'm going to do is like a little dash, and I'm going to say, store these rules in your memory, and send it. And then you're going to see the little memory updated icon. And then all we're going to do is go back. Here we go. And check. So once again, settings, personalization, manage memory. And now here we go. And it says the rules for interaction. So this is every single interaction that we have. So those are the 5 rules to mitigate hallucinations. I've really noticed a drastic difference in the mitigation of hallucinations after putting those in. So I'm curious if you try them to know what your experience is, but hopefully that helps. I don't know if we have any questions in the chat. I have like 3 screens open right now, so I can't see. But if there are, please let me know.
I'll be sure to mind those. So people can enter the Q&A questions. Enter the questions using the Q&A box on the bottom, and I'll pass along the appropriate ones to you, Ashley.
Amazing. Okay. So moving on to the next tutorial. Doug, did you have any questions about this one? Is there anything you were curious about?
No, that's great. I mean, I've used ChatGPT a bunch, and just learning and knowing how to get ChatGPT to remember those same things so I don't have to tell it every time, that's been hugely helpful. Thanks.
Good. Perfect. I love that. All right. So the next tutorial I'm going to show you is 3 AI prompts for 30 days worth of content. We are all strapped for time. If you're in this session right now, you're probably in here because you want to be scrappier and more efficient with your time. So I'm just going to give you the things you want to hear and none of the other fluff. So I'm just opening a new chat in ChatGPT 4. I will also say, though, add a disclaimer, there's different versions. So if you see, it's going to tell you, right, like best for complex tasks, faster for every day, legacy model. I am paying for this because I want it to be able to go in and out of the fast versus the complex. I would recommend that if you're really using ChatGPT for a lot of things, because it is a difference in the outputs that you'll see. So the 3 prompts for 30 days worth of content, I am going to start by, let's see here. Okay. Is the screen that you're seeing, does it have a little spreadsheet in the chat function?
Not that I
No.
can see.
Okay, let me do this then. Okay, perfect. So what I did was I exported my LinkedIn analytics data. So I just went into my profile, analytics, and then chose a date and exported that, and it exports it into a spreadsheet. I'm uploading that to ChatGPT with this prompt. And again, I will happily give these prompts away. I'm not gatekeeping anything. So the prompt just says, analyze my best performing LinkedIn content and create a content matrix organized by content type, hook line, CTA based off the best performing posts. And I'm going to click send. Oh, and it's giving me an error code in true GPT fashion. I'm just going to give that a second and see if it works itself out, though, because sometimes it gives an issue, but then it fixes itself. Okay, so it wants a different format. That's okay. So let's see here. Maybe I can convert XL to CSV really quickly, because I would hate if it doesn't work for that reason. Okay. Let's do this. And let's just upload it into a sheet because I think that might be easier. I know that I'm talking to myself, so I apologize. But this is what it looks like whenever you're doing this. So
Live demos are.
I know, but I like it. It's like not gatekeeping, you know, like this is what you're going to get. Okay, download this into a CSV. Perfect. Now let's retry this. So let's just throw in the old CSV. Perfect. Click send. All right. And then this is giving me a little window. So this is exactly what the CSV looks like. It's just impressions, total impressions, unique clicks, reactions, all of it. This is based off of the last 30 days worth of data. So this is what it looks like. So it gave me a little content matrix. Now, since it had an issue the first time, I'm going to go ahead and just copy that prompt one more time and put it in here. Here we go. And it always has to tell me how it's going to do things, which I guess I appreciate, but I wish it would just give me the answer too. All right, we got a little analyzing guy.
Now, while it's doing this,
Yeah.
what concerns do you have about the information that you're uploading to ChatGPT and other LLMs? What it's storing, what kind of information it's keeping about you that you might have some privacy issues about?
So this specifically, nothing, because this is all my public LinkedIn posts. So I kind of like to, I think my mom probably told me this when I was a teenager. She was like, whatever you put on the internet lives on the internet. And so I always hear her little voice. So I had no issue with privacy concerns for this because it's already out there. I already posted all of this stuff. I would say in general, though, my rule of thumb is if I wouldn't ask Google search engine, I don't put it into an LLM. I think that that's like such a good, simple rule to follow because you can go down multiple rabbit holes if you try to get too complicated. But at the end of the day, this is technology and it's got repercussions, but they're really big repercussions because it's actually your data. And even if you're not playing around with these tools, I've tested over 167. I can't remember exactly how many, but I know it's over 167 at this point. There are some wildly accurate AI tools as far as like vision goes and augmenting, and it can like just the wildest things can pick up if you're taking a picture and you're uploading it into an AI app to, maybe you're scrubbing the background and you're adding text, and that's like the AI portion of it that's being generated. It can actually pick up your location in your home and like geographically tag where you're at. So I always like to tell people, like, do your research and vet the vendors and figure out how their tools are gathering this information. So for instance, there's no pictures on the internet of me inside of my home other than this wonderful wall right behind me that you'll see on every single social media channel, because I sit right here in one place for all the tutorials. I hope that answered your question. I like to keep it simple. Okay, so here's the little content matrix, right? So again, the first prompt said, analyze my best performing LinkedIn content and create a content matrix organized by type, hook line, CTA based off of those best performing posts. So here's my little matrix. And then it also gives me like the analysis of each one. So it's telling me like what articles perform, images, videos, text, infographics. So then this next prompt says, create me a 30-day content matrix, organize the matrix by theme, topic, formatting, and hook line. So second prompt is in and going. And I don't know why I keep saying matrix, but I like having, whenever I'm working with like content or data in general, I like to see it in a matrix because I can also just export this into Google Sheets and then parse the data from the sheets into an automation tool like Make or Coda, and integrate it with Buffer. So then like I'm kind of taking you through my whole entire workflow, and it sounds really complicated, but it's not. But if you stick with the formatting is what I'm trying to say in your outputs, then you can go do things with that in your other applications because it matches. Otherwise, you're going to be just copying and pasting. So like all 30 days worth of content, I would have to go through line by line and copy and paste. And I think that AI is great, but the moment that you start spending more time doing this instead of actually like spending the time that you're supposed to have not using it, that's when I start to kind of say like, I don't know if this is my time. I don't know if it's worth it. So here's the 30 days worth of content. So the only thing we have left to do is actually build out the content. So for this one, I'm going to say build out the content for each of these posts. Maintain my brand voice and tone throughout. Okay, that's the third prompt. And it always gives you an example just so you can correct it before it starts spitting out like all of the content. So right now it's going through each of those formats. So I have an example for article, video, infographic, text, and image. And now I'm just going to look through it, make sure that this is all verbiage that I would use. And it sounds like me. So I have very specific rules for LinkedIn posts internally that I know that I haven't told ChatGPT. So there's a couple ways you could do this. You could either have it generate and then you have 3 posts and 30 days worth of content, or you can just say something like, this looks great, but keep the grammar at a 5th grade level. But go ahead and create the content. So I say 5th grade level. I spelled all of these things wrong. But it's okay because it understands me and I probably didn't need to correct it, but that's okay. Okay. But I say 5th grade level because it says words like revolutionize, delve, all these random words. And I used to track them and say, don't say all of these words, but it was so much of my time because for every word that I minimized it saying, it would come up with a new annoying word. And it was just becoming this time consuming task to keep up with all the weird words. So I just say 5th grade level because then it can't say delve or revolutionize or any of the other words that it decides to make up that day. So once again, it's giving me the examples and asking me if I approve it. It's very self-conscious. It really does like to please. You'll notice that about it. I'm always nice to mine, and at the end of the day and beginning of the day, I say, thank you so much for working hard. I don't know if that makes a difference, but I feel like it does. Okay, awesome. So it's still giving me examples. I'm going to stop it, and I'm just going to say, write out the 30 days worth of content in a matrix form, but fully fill out all of the posts. just for the sake of the user experience. I don't want you guys to have to like watch this keep going. I would like it to be concise.
All right, so while it's doing that, how much of this are you actually leveraging? So these are a bunch of posts. You post, we all post. If you were to run this for yourself, do you run this for yourself? And how much work between what this generates and what you actually post do you do? Hello? Oh, well, I think either we lost me or we lost Ashley.
Ashley's stuck. Let's give
Ash
us.
stuck. Oh, isn't technology fun?
It's amazing.
Well, to those of you who are on, we've got a whole bunch of people. I do encourage you, please ask questions. Ashley is very happy to answer them. And as a matter of fact, it's actually easier to answer questions than come up with the predetermined things that we're trying to talk about. So by all means, please feel free to ask. With that, because we just need some time for Ashley to come back, I'll take a moment to thank everybody again for being on this. Get the Prompt is one of a number of monthly series that Retail AI Council is publishing. We very much encourage our members to let us know what more do you want to see, Canada, what less do you want to see, and we'll do everything we can to adjust our program accordingly. So thank you very much, and would appreciate any feedback anybody can give us now or in the future. Send all comments to info@retailAIcouncil.com, or you can always reach me at Doug@retailAIcouncil as well. These sessions that Ashley's doing, we plan on doing every month. This obviously is the one in July. We're aiming for one at the end of August, September, October, November, December. And Ashley's letting me know that she's having trouble getting in, but she's coming back now. Some of the disadvantages of doing things online virtually, you don't see this happen at a physical meeting quite so much, where somebody just freezes and disappears and needs to come back. All right, here she is coming back now.
Wow.
And wow, it looks like Ashley froze again.
In suspense, but it was definitely not. Okay, so if we are looking at ChatGPT again, this is where we left off. We're just going to regenerate this. Is my content matrix being generated in front of you, Doug?
Yes.
Amazing. Okay, sorry about that, folks. Back to the magic. This is technology we're dealing with, so this is as relatable as it gets. And now we have 30 days worth of content that is going to be fully created. It's got the actual post written out, my hook line, my format, my topic, and my theme, so I can make sure that it is going off of best performing posts. And I'll let it continue until we get to day 30. Do we have any questions in the chat while this is still cranking?
There's one that I asked before, which is you're using this to create posts. We all create posts. How much work do you do between what this generates and what you actually post?
Yeah, so I have very strong feelings about this. This is something I can never fully delegate. This is really like obviously, like I could take this and go apply it and post it to LinkedIn. I don't, just because I don't think that the LLMs will ever fully get my brand and tone voice. And that's not just a me and a personal thing. I think it's in general. Like nobody knows me better than me. So I look at this as like I'm not starting from zero. This is not my scratch, point. From here, I would open up Canva and I would open up Riverside. So Canva is where I create all my graphics. Riverside is where I create all of my video content. And so, for example, it tells me what formatting things are. So for everything that's an image, I would start creating in Canva all of these images, right? And so I would copy and paste this, look it over in Canva, tweak the wording. If I think that something else should be resonating and I'm not coming across the way that I want with the AI generated text, I switch it. So I think that for me, I don't take this and go with it and put it on all my channels. I just look at it as starting from point one instead of point zero. And I also look at it as automation, because if I know how many images I have to create, then I can open up that many, little posts in Canva, right? And then that's automating, not having to go to different tabs. I can open up and record all my videos at once. And sorry, I lost my train of thought. I can record all of my videos at once. I can create all my blogs at once. It just kind of keeps me in line so that I'm prioritizing my time. So I would say that for me, this is probably 50% of the work. And then the other 50% is just actually going and creating those videos and creating the cute little graphics, because I do not like the image generation function of ChatGPT right now. So I do not leave that for it. And I
Right.
just regenerated this because it got to 21, but it didn't do 30. So that's the only reason I regenerated it. I apologize. I should
That's
have
okay.
said that out
So
loud.
we get a couple questions now.
Yeah.
Are there any tricks you've learned as to how to get ChatGPT to know your voice?
Yes, but it might not be that time saving. So I have a Google Doc and it's got 60 pages of information in it. And so I have it's organized by the content format. So articles, short posts, long posts, blogs. I have probably over 100 samples of my writing organized in a Word doc that I actually feed to my knowledge base. So when I'm creating content, I will upload it to the knowledge base. I'll turn off the search engine feature so that it's not getting any of its information online. It's just getting what I give it and based off of its knowledge base. That has been the best thing that I've found. But you still have to iterate it because every time they roll out one of these feature updates, there's like always a weird quirk that comes with it. So you have to check that knowledge base and make sure that you add more rules if needed and tweak as necessary.
Great, thanks.
You're welcome. And then for some reason, now it's going to 20. Good old technology. So I just said, perfect, give me the last 10 days. I just want the satisfaction of seeing 30 days because I asked it for 30 days. Okay, amazing. I promise
You
I'll
know,
move
that
on
kind
from
of thing
support.
happens often where you ask for 30 and it gives you 20 or.
Yeah, it is not good with numbers, like not whatsoever. And I will never be able to figure this out. I think that it's just the way that the data is trained and like the algorithms it's meant to predict the next word. But if you ask it for a character count, so let's just say I've got a great LinkedIn post and I want to turn it into a tweet, it will not, for the life of me, actually condense it down to the character count that I need it to be. I can say, condense this down to 140 characters and it will not know what I'm saying. Now, if I say simplify this into something punchy and concise, it will do it immediately and it will end up being the length that Twitter actually wants, or X or whatever it's called now. I don't know. But it will not do it if I ask it for a character count. Okay, so now we have 30 days worth of content. I had to actually see that. Do we have any other questions for this specifically? Because I have one more thing I'd love to show.
No, please jump into the one more thing.
Amazing. Okay, so again, I will throw these in the chat and you'll get this after this, so don't worry about taking any notes. But two of my favorite, I'll just say one of my favorite things that I've done is I created a PR GPT because I'm a bootstrap founder. I got to be scrappy. And so where is my little, here we go. So I just said Ashley's PR assistant. It was not very creative of me. And this is what it looks like. So its details and its instructions are perform PR work based on the information that I provided. So I'm going to give you 3 ways that I use this every single day. And I've been able to get on multiple podcasts, newsletters, you name it. This is the GPT that I've been using, all based off of me. So again, I have a knowledge base and it's not quite 60 pages, I would say. It's probably 40 of, accolades, my resume, my cover letter, my experiences, what's my mission statement, what do I want people to know, that kind of stuff. And I have the search engine function turned off while we're in this GPT. So the first prompt I'm going to throw in here is one I use probably the most. So this says, I would like to speak at this event. I just threw in Shop Talk's website. Create a talk track abstract based on this event's audience. And I turned on the search engine functionality for this because instead of copying and pasting who Shop Talk is and who their ICP is, I would much rather it browse the internet for it. So here's the title, here's the abstract, and it's based on their audience, which is retail executives, entrepreneurs, technology enthusiasts, which I would definitively say they got correct, with a little call to action and then like an about speaker. So when I go to actually fill out the speaker form, this is what it's asking for: the talk track, abstract, and bio about me. That's one use case. So then the second use case is to be interviewed. So the prompt I'm going to throw in just says, I want to be interviewed by, and I typed in Wired's website and said, create an email written at a 5th grade grammar level, pitching myself and my business to this company. Again, I don't have time for weird words. I'm not delving into anything. So that's the prompt that we're sticking with. Here's the subject line. Here is the little email. What I think is really interesting is I didn't ask it to pull generative AI strategists for the Retail AI Council. It pulled that on its own based off of information. So I wear many hats. I'm a founder, I'm a CEO, I'm a teacher, I'm a generative AI strategist for the Retail AI Council. But because I fed all of this information to ChatGPT and said, like, here's what I do for each of these roles, it determined based on who I wanted to be interviewed with, which role of mine and experience it should lead with. So that probably would have taken me 30 minutes of overthinking how I should pitch myself. And now I don't have to do that. So then the third prompt I'm going to grab is involving a blog that I wrote, because quite frequently I write blogs and I'm worried about distribution. So this prompt says, I wrote a blog about, and I copied and hyperlinked in the blog URL and said, I would love to get this distributed by TechCrunch. Create me a compelling email at a 5th grade grammar level to pitch them on sharing this blog on their channel. And I copied it and I pasted it, and here is the email. So now I can just go start emailing them on this blog that I already wrote and not have to worry about the distribution. So that's like 3 ways I use this GPT every single day. It makes me really happy. Hopefully it brings someone else as much happiness. But like I said, we will share this in the chat. We'll also share the AVM GPT tutorial, because that one's kind of lengthy. It involves going back and forth between Google Sheets, ChatGPT, and HubSpot, and I didn't want to do that and risk technology issues, even though we still had one. But I will share that one. But yeah, this is definitely probably my favorite GPT that I've created. And it's just something that I hate PR. I hate running my own PR. So this is kind of my way of like getting out of my own way. And now that this is like automated through the use of ChatGPT, I still have to send the email. I still have to grammatically correct it and look over it and sign off on it. So I'm still in the loop. But it's a lot faster than it would manually take me.
So we have another question here. You mentioned 3 different types of PR, 3 different use cases in PR. Are there particular, I'm going to read this, are there particular recipients who are you found more success with?
So when I'm using the PR GPT, like certain roles that I send it to that are more, so for this specifically, when I'm sending these emails, I'm sending them from my get the prompt email. And I have a certain folder for PR. I'm answering this question, I swear. I'm just walking you through my workflow so you can copy and paste the same workflow. So I have a folder in my email for PR stuff. And so every time I send this, I log it in that PR folder so that at some point in time, I can upload all of those emails into ChatGPT and have it evaluate the open rate and success of getting those and actually work on a strategy for more PR speaking engagements. So the same way that I created the content matrix, I will export my PR emails and I will throw them into ChatGPT. So I just make sure I scrub like the email portion of it off of before I throw it in. And then I say, like, here's all the successful emails that we sent. And then here's the non-successful ones. Evaluate this and create a strategy. And that is how I figure out who I should be speaking to and targeting with these PR speaking engagements. So I wouldn't say it's a specific role for a specific use case. I would just say it's based off of like what you're doing in real time. Like you have to go do it in order to actually learn and A/B test it. There's been no pattern that I have seen. I'm trying to think of like anything weird that I've found, but I can't think of anything. It's pretty standard. I would just say maybe like the one biggest takeaway I have is like journalists are really, really busy and like everybody is sending them emails. So I switch up my strategy when it comes to targeting certain journalists. So instead of sending them emails like I am everyone else, I will send them like a nice little GIF. So supermeme.ai is a free meme creation site, and you can create your own memes in there. And I like to just like be entertaining and punchy. So I'll just send them some memes on LinkedIn explaining what I've done. So let's just say I wrote a blog and I think that they should see it. I'll create a meme that's like funny and ironic, but still says like Ashley created a blog. And then maybe in the meme, it's like, you know, I pop out of like this box and I'm like, I wrote a blog. And like, that's the whole meme, because it's like, it's entertaining, right? Like it's not just like throwing more stuff at them. At the very least, they're going to get a laugh because they're like, who takes the time to create a meme to pitch to us? So even if they say no, it was still fun for me because I like memes and it was still entertaining.
That's great. You brought up an interesting topic, which is giving the information to ChatGPT and having it do some type of analysis to see what works or to learn from it.
Yeah.
Uh, are there certain types of information that you found to be more conducive to ChatGPT learning?
Mm. I like exporting my Google Calendar because even though I have, like a Calendly automation and automations on the back end that will route people to where they need to be in order to efficiently like give them the value that they need from me, I like to export my calendar link still because it changes every week. So like I try and strive for that balance, but sometimes it's a hit, sometimes it's a miss. So I would say once a week, I will export my calendar into a CSV, feed it to Google or feed it to ChatGPT and say, analyze this and change my productivity plan. So like in my plan, I use Reclaim AI to make sure that I have the same lunch break every single day. I have a 15-minute blocker after every single meeting, which is amazing because if I'm at the store and I looked at my schedule and there's no meetings on the agenda, I'm like, great, I have time to run to the grocery store. But because it's Calendly, people can book with me anywhere. And if I didn't have that integration set up and I wasn't checking that weekly with exporting my data, then it might not catch that. So anybody can book, even if I'm not at my computer, but there's a 15-minute buffer before and after. So I know that the store is only 5 minutes away and I've still sufficiently given myself time. So I would say, yes, that exporting the Google Calendar weekly is definitely paid off and it makes it more conclusive. What's the word I'm looking for there?
Conducive.
Conducive. Thank you. What other data? Social media, like exporting that into CSVs. That's amazing because like you have to pay a lot of money for that if you don't do it that way. And yeah, that's amazing because every time LinkedIn rolls out like a feature update or updates its algorithm, it's like you might have a 30-day content matrix built out, and then that update and how it looks at um, things such as, the quality of content and what you normally could do would change. And I'll give you a great example. LinkedIn recently rolled out an update where you can no longer leave a comment immediately under your post because it feeds the algorithm when you're doing that, and your content will rank a little bit higher if you're doing that. But people were using so many automation tools that LinkedIn made them wait now a whole minute before adding the comment. So if I had an automation hooked up to this, that would have been catastrophic for me because now I'm going from an automation and not doing anything to having to manually go in there. But because I'm using AI and automations in different ways to help with my strategy and not automating my commenting and engagement, then I'm good to go. So I would just say anytime that you're trying to fix your workflow problem, it will help ChatGPT to actually see what your workflow is. I think that's probably like the best general answer I could have gave. Sorry, I went down a little rabbit hole there for a second. I heard myself.
Perfectly fine and very helpful. And I think also to be helpful, you've rattled off during the course of this dozens of tools, which are really hard to keep note of. But what we'll do
Yeah.
for our members is go through the transcript, identify each of those different tools, include them with the update and the thank you to everyone who's attended. So thank you. That's great.
Of course.
We don't have any other questions in here.
Okay.
If you still would like to ask, please feel free. Are there any last comments you'd like to make?
I think I'd probably just choose the opportunity to be a little bit more repetitive because I think that helps. I don't know. Maybe let me know in the chat if it doesn't, but I would just say lead with the problem. Like always try to find the problem and then vet the AI tools that are literally built to solve that problem instead of just trying to do research on whatever everyone on the internet is saying to use. Even me, don't listen to me, do your own research. That would be something I would love to repeat. And then also just really taking the time. I know that this is like this shiny sticker phenomenon of like AI and everyone's using AI, but it's a tool like the rest of our technology. And I feel like the enterprises will appreciate this. We already have lots of tools in our tech stack. Like we don't need to add more tools. So if you're using an AI tool to solve for a workflow issue, ideally you should be taking tools away from your tech stack and with time, like honing in on your tech stack and making sure that it is like the bare bones, what you need to run, your business or your job and not spending extra money because as we've seen with so many technologies, we've been promised that they'll integrate and play nice. And we know that's not true. If you have a Zoom and Google Meet, you'll understand what I'm talking about. Like it will completely change all of your settings just by going through the two of them. So just remember, even if it's an AI tool, it's still a tool. You still have to take the time to onboard yourself. So save your time for the problems that you really need solved or things that you're really not looking forward to doing, and then try to A/B test using AI to solve them. That would be
Right.
my advice.
One last question. Do you
Sure.
prefer GPT or Claude?
Oh, don't make me pick.
Not
I think
me,
it depends on the
the
use
blank
case. I
fiction.
know. What a mean question. I have to choose. It depends on the use case. So Claude is very specifically good at certain things. Whenever I was doing research on how to build a business using AI, like before I built this business, I was combing through, the Chamber of Commerce website and a bunch of government websites on like looking for data and articles and PDFs and research, and I didn't have time to read all of it. And so Claude was my best friend for those 3 weeks that I was doing all of that research, because I was able to parse through hundreds of documents and just get the parts of it that appeal to me. So for going through a bunch of data and research points and basically using it as a Cliff Notes for life, it's my favorite tool. I will never use ChatGPT for that, but for everyday use cases, I would say I use ChatGPT the most. Um, and then Perplexity, I'm constantly using way more than Google search because of the way that it's trained on its data to show you what is actually being valuable and relevant and talked about today versus doing a Google search, which maybe it's valuable or maybe they're just paying a ton of money for keywords and paid ads. And that's why it's ranking high and it's actually not worth my time to browse through. So I added that one in there, but it's my favorite. So I had to.
All right, so a slightly reframed question. Can
Okay.
we do everything Ashley just showed in Claude as well?
I don't know. That's a great question. I know it can look through documents and accurately get it. You know what? I don't know about Claude, but I know ChatGPT can, because after I posted my How to Build a Business Using AI in 10 Days course, I was just so curious. I'm a research nerd. I think this is probably because of my science major in college, but I wanted to know like what the experience was going to be like before the course started. So I gave ChatGPT the persona of a first-time business builder who hasn't yet built a business. And I fed it the MP4 versions of my course and said, like, what questions do you have after this? Where are the gaps? What was hard? What was easy? And I know it's not like 100% accurate because it's not a human being, but it was able to go through my whole entire course and find commonalities and questions that the persona would probably have.
Well, that's great. Want to thank you for hosting this. Very much appreciated, as I know our members do. Want to thank everybody who's on the call, who's joined us. We'll send a link to the recorded version of this and Ashley's links to all of the attendees, or we'll try at least. Please like, comment, repost on LinkedIn. Again, the council's mission is to help you, so please let us know your thoughts. What can we do better, more, different, anything else? Check out retailaicouncil.com and follow us on LinkedIn for information about the next sessions and other online and digital and in-person events. And we look forward to seeing everybody again soon. Final words, we believe AI is going to cause disruption. Have a great day and be a disruptor. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.